Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Al Masri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. So, we're back to our guest, Tanya. Tanya was talking about courage and fear and how to break that. So, welcome back, Tanya. We're going to
Thank
continue
you.
where we ended in the last segment. So, yeah, go.
Great. So, yeah, this idea of separating out, when I think of summoning courage, I think of that as growth. Can you just focus on growth and getting quantity and putting in the courage reps to build your courage muscle and not save it for that big thing? Because then you can take what you learned and put it towards the thing you really care about. Maybe you're getting this promotion, carving your own path, but now you can master courage because you know what to do with fear, what to do with anxiety, because you got your reps in. And so the piece we left off on was now inspiring courage. So if you want to talk about maximizing your impact, this is the way to do it. Because if you can create the conditions for the people around you or your team to start to summon their own courage and master their own courage, so help it creating an environment for them to do their own little skydives, if you will. Now you're really maximizing everybody's potential and then therefore your impact. And so if you can start to separate out courage and start to treat it as a daily thing instead of doing it just as a once in a lifetime thing, you will make so much more progress and see things so differently.
This is really interesting because we often like hire people and feel like, oh no, they may be shy, they maybe like don't have enough confidence. So maybe we hired the wrong people and we don't try to actually like break the fear like inside them and inside us, like, and to really train them to really work on things to make them really improve in their skills. And we forget like working with them on that, that's also working on us, because we all need to get more like courage always. Like I feel like this is continuous experience, like it never stop, like self-development, whatever, like it is, especially with fear. Like fear, like I don't know if there is anyone on the on this earth that does not have fear.
Yes, it might start to look different as you get more comfortable and your
Mhm.
comfort zone starts to grow. But at the end of the day, there's always some sort of underlying fear that's keeping you from doing something.
Absolutely. So speaking about comfort zone, so how would someone know, okay, I am very comfortable now and it's time for me to break out and move somewhere, like might be scary, but it's time now. Like I'm wasting time staying in this comfort zone.
Yeah. So a lot of times I think people think, like I said, they hide behind busyness, they hide behind these other things. But if you start to recognize you're feeling stagnant, you are not growing anymore, things aren't as fun, you just get into this rut. That's the best way I can put it is like you're in
Mm.
this rut. You likely have forgotten how to shake things up. Because so often we don't do the novel thing anymore, or we don't do something different. We just fall back on old patterns. So if you can start to see that or notice where that's coming up for you, then you can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to try something a little bit different and just see what happens.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And how do you work when you work with people? So you work with team or do you work with the leaders only?
So I do both.
Hmm.
Team is a really nice way to get like bringing a team into, let's say, a wind tunnel workshop where you actually are getting the experience of flying is a great way to break down some barriers because it's the first, like, unless you happen to have an experienced skydiver on your team, which is very rare, everyone's going to look silly in the wind tunnel. They're all learning something new. It's like what I said before. It's like you're learning how to walk, but there's no pressure. It's just fun. So it has this really cool dynamic that helps break down barriers and builds vulnerability and trust amongst the team. I
Hmm.
do also work with just leaders as well and helping them because at the end of the day, that starts to trickle down. So I do work with them one on one as well, but having a team come into the tunnel it's just so cool to see. The group I brought in last week, I thought was really interesting because they said there is so much connection in struggle,
Uh-huh.
but there's also so much connection in joy. And we forget that joy is also a vulnerable state. And so connections were being built on both sides of the fence when they went through this workshop together.
Nice. So they have to be in person where exactly?
So this one was at Colorado Springs. I love hosting there because it's right across the street from the Air Force Academy, which is where I learned these skills to begin with.
Uh-huh.
And if you're lucky, you may actually see the team come in and train while they're there. So the facility is really nicely set up. It is the official place for the Air Force to train. And we also sometimes get some Army Airborne coming in to train as well, which adds a really cool flavor to the workshops.
Wow, this is amazing. I I love that. So awesome. So like, and so if someone now listening to us and wants to start working with you, or maybe like they're not ready yet, like, so what would you say the first step to do, and then how can they move up and to like they have you in full, like helping them and their team?
Yeah. So before you even think about jumping out of an airplane, I get it. That's a very extreme response for me to do something that's different. But if you can just think for a moment, okay, if I were standing in an airplane, what would that feel like? Are you getting knots in your stomach? Do you have a lump in your throat? Do you have dry mouth? Are your palms sweaty? Try to think about what those physiological reactions are and see if you notice where else that's showing up in your life. So maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, sitting in a performance assessment. I used to feel like that whether I was on the receiving end or the giving end. So see where those are coming up for you. And if you notice that, can you lean into it, right? Start to become aware of it and then just do it anyway. Doesn't matter if it's related to your big goal or not. Practice getting those courage reps in when the stakes are low. So that way, when the stakes are high, then we can start talking about, okay, now how do we utilize that into your practice? So I would just say recognize your skydiving moments and then take the jump.
Nice. Awesome. And I know you have something for people to download. Can you talk about it a little bit?
I do. It's a guide to help keep your fear in check. So it gives 11 ways that you can try to see how that helps you calm your nerves in the moment and move through fear. Because so often we just need a little help getting through that stickiness of the first few minutes. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's not so bad. So these are some of the tools that I picked up in the military and in corporate and executive coaching that you can start to put into practice and see what works and leave what doesn't.
How can people get it?
Yeah, so there is a link that you can click on to download, and it'll be delivered right to your inbox.
Okay, so can you say the website, because there are some people like listening on
Oh,
video as
yes.
well.
Okay.
So if you don't
So,
mind.
yeah, the best way to do it is probably to go straight to my website, which is
Mhm.
TanyaAnnChavez.com, TanyaAnnChavez.com. And there'll be a pop up that shows up that says, "Hey, high achiever, do you need some strategies?" And that will show up, and you can enter your email address and it'll be delivered straight to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tanya. And guys, do you want to go ahead and download that and see the tips? Like test yourself, like Tanya said, like see how you feel. And if you need to connect with Tanya, all the information on the website, like feel free to connect with her. If you want to be a better leader, if you want just to check what how can she help you and help your team. Well, thank you so much, Tanya. Like, what's your advice for the people in 2025 to be a better leader, of those who maybe not ready yet to be there to work with you? Like, what would be like the advice for them to have a better year this year?
Mm. I think the biggest thing is to just do it uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what it is, just do it uncomfortable. And as you start to do that, you'll start to see things differently. I mentioned skydiving, I was trying to escape from leadership.
Mm-hmm.
After my 3 years on the team, I started thinking bigger and differently because I just did something uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. This is the best advice anyone can hear. You know, and you that's triggered something for me. So when I first started my business, I knew that I have to be on video so people can get to know me, especially like I started at home. So I was like so like uncomfortable being on the camera. So I didn't want to do YouTube until I saw some very good YouTubers. They actually they showed their beginning videos and they were terrible, and now they're amazing. I was like, okay, then I just have to do it. And the only way, like you said, like you just have to do the reps. And then you'll be so comfortable. Now I can just turn the camera, talk even without preparation. Actually, it's easier for me if I don't have anything written. So yeah, like, and that's for everything. So like, there's no better advice than really do it uncomfortable. Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you for your time. And thank you for being here with Echoes of Impact. We hope to see you again soon. All right, guys, this is Echoes of Impact with Noura, and this is your host, Noura Al Masri. We'll be right back, and we're going to be talking about something going on into news for nonprofits about grants. A lot of talks are going into the grants, and we're going to talk to someone who's expert to to tell you the truth, because there's a lot of fear. We're still talking about fear. We're here to make sure there's no fear ever. We'll be right back.